boom, 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 boom.
What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Hustle Flowchart podcast with your boys, Matt Wolf and Joe Fier. Check it.
Adam Schaeuble, our new kind of official pod pal. We've been talking about this
We're
for a
pod
long
pal partnered
super duo trio team. It doesn't
put
make
a
sense
ring
to
on
anybody
it
right now, but we'll get
put
it.
a ring on it, so it's official.
We're locked in now.
We are locked in. So today,
No prenups either. Woo.
oh man,
We're going in.
It's getting
We're going
dangerous,
in
man.
hot.
Long distance too. It's getting weird.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, this is how podcasters do it, you know. So
Yo, so you've heard us talk a lot about Ahrefs in past episodes, and to this day, it's still our favorite number one SEO tool. We still use it ourselves. We love it, but now they're sponsoring this podcast again because they've got a free version for you.
there's a new, very spokesperson. Yeah,
I'm pumped about it. It's a free Ahrefs. It's awesome.
It is rad. This is the first we've heard about it, is them coming back to present it to y'all. But they have something called Webmaster Tools. So if you go to ahrefs.com/AWT, that's ahrefs.com/AWT. What this is a full-blown tool that's going to monitor your SEO health, the backlinks, all the organic ranks, and all that stuff. There's a whole bunch of different little things that it does, but no cost. This is totally free, no credit card required. Ahrefs just knows that. I mean, Ahrefs is a total professional like SEO tool. For the budget, you know, not everyone can afford it. So that's why they were listening to y'all. So over at ahrefs.com/AWT, you can actually go get signed up and check this thing out for free.
Yeah, so go improve your website's SEO performance for free at ahrefs.com/AWT.
This episode, we're going to dive into what the heck is up with podcasting these days. It's been a little bit since we actually had a deep dive on growth, monetization, all the coolest tricks and stuff. But we have Adam Schaeuble here. Podcast Business School is your main podcast.
Yeah.
You have like other shows too, right?
Yeah. I've got. I'm pretty deep in the space. I've got Podcasting Business School. That's the main one. Then I've got Podcast Launch Tips. So if you haven't launched yet, that's a great one. And then I've got my roots in the health space. So I got the Low Carb Hustle podcast. So shout out to the low carbers out there hustling. And
what up?
Yeah. And I've got a fourth one on the docket. I'm going to create a business and financial education show for kids with my 11-year-old son. We're going to combo it up. And that'll be podcast number 4. So you could say I'm a fan of the medium of podcasting.
So I'm curious, right off the bat, based on what you just said, how are you like sort of managing and keeping on schedule with 3 now, but potentially 4 podcasts? Like how are you just recording every day? You're just kind of in it, or what's your flow like right now?
Well, there is plenty of hustle to my flow. Is what
You're wearing the shirt,
what
man.
we like to say. Yeah, exactly. But it helps that this is all that I do. Like I am a full-time podcaster, pro podcaster. I'm a recovering gym owner. I sold my gym pre-pandemic. December of 2019 is when I sold my gym. It couldn't have been any later. It would have been pandemic mode. So
how did you know to do that?
Got out of that. I had been podcasting since 2015, so I had a lot of momentum built up, and decided to go full in. But this is all that I do. So a lot of people that are side hustling, like keep that in perspective. Like you're not going to be able to have 4 shows and like I've got 1 VA and that's it, and it's just me and shout out to Ashley the VA, and we do everything. But I'm very organized. I have a really strict recording schedule and flow. It's not like hop on my calendar whenever you feel and like we'll record whatever works. It's like Tuesday or Wednesday. I batch record a couple times a month. I'm always ahead. So we're recording this in December 2021. Podcasting Business School, I've got content recorded, edited, loaded through February.
Oh, wow. Dude.
Good to go. Yes. But I've batched all that with Podcast Launch Tips. I'll typically do 6 or 7 weeks in one whack and then get it uploaded and it's good to go. So I'm really, recording 3, maybe 4 days a month, power sessions, and then I'll have another day that it's all the editing, loading, getting all the ducks in a row. So it just takes a lot. It's like it's the Jocko Willing thing. Discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
I've been working. I don't know if you guys know Jocko, but it's like discipline equals freedom. So
that guy's intense, man. But awesome.
But that's what it's all about. You have that discipline of setting up your structures and how you're going to execute this effectively, because it's content, and consistent content is the name of the game in podcasting. What I've been talking a lot on my channel about the superpower, the true superpower of the podcast that nothing else that I found does is that it allows us to insert our content and our knowledge into people's habits and routines. Where if you look at YouTube, it's different. If you look at email marketing, it's different, because I guarantee if Hustle and Flowchart is one of your favorite shows, as is it's mine, it's definitely one of mine, I guarantee you that with your favorite podcasts, you listen to them on a specific day doing a specific thing. And that's the superpower. You don't do that with YouTube videos. You don't do that with emails. It's not like, and Joe sent me the email on Wednesday and I've got to check it out every single Wednesday. But with a podcast, it's like, oh, I listen to Hustle and Flowchart when I drive my kids to school on Wednesdays or whatever. Like there's that time, place, routine. And if we can be in their earbuds, dropping our knowledge, building relationships, building that know, like, and trust factor, that's a huge advantage. The other quick advantage I really promote a lot, 100% deliverability. Like that's, when we talk email marketing, if 70% of my people on my list don't even open it, me and Matt and Joe are high-fiving going, badass, 30% open rate. But with podcasting, if they hit that subscribe or follow button, it's always there. They get that little notification. So those are the two things I'm really psyched about in the podcasting space. That's why I'm full-time. That's why I'm hanging out with people like the Flow Bros here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can get a lot of listeners, maybe getting a little closer to full-time with some of the stuff we're going to talk about later in the episode, right?
We've seen some stuff throughout.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some of the collaborations that we're doing together moving into the future. And I think some of the stuff that we're working on together is going to help move a lot of people to the next level. So excited to share that. So make sure you stick around because we're going to talk about that. But before we do, let's get into some like tactical goodness. Let's talk about the exciting stuff that people tune into our shows for. Let's talk about podcast growth. So you've got your podcast, your Download Growth Club, right? And you're teaching people how to my guess is you're teaching them how to get more downloads on their podcast.
Who wants that?
So let's talk about how people can get more downloads on their podcast. What are some of the 80-20? What are some of the quick hits that like, if you're not doing this, then you're not even trying?
Okay, I love that you use the word trying, because I feel like that's the first filter that we got to take everybody through. Are you trying or are you executing? All right. And the way that I define which side of the coin we're on is if you have a plan or not. If you don't have any sort of a marketing plan, any sort of rhythm or flow to your weekly schedule, then you're just doing a lot of trying. I'm posting on Instagram, Adam. I'm putting out content. I go live on Facebook every 5 weeks. We do a lot of trying, hoping, and there's a lot of frustration with that because you are trying, but we're not organized with that. So the first step for me is let's get an organized marketing game plan. A new episode goes live, like my podcasting business school episode, Tuesday and Friday. That's my jam. That's my flow. So on Tuesday, I go, all right, episode is live. The first thing that happens, I've got a carousel post that goes up on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. It goes to all the places.
And so a carousel post is basically like an Instagram where you put like 10 different images and you can kind of scroll through them like a slideshow.
They look good, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the reason I like carousel posts as the initial entry to introducing the content is that it's like fishing with 6 lines in the water. However many images you have, it's like fishing with multiple lines in the water. And so when you're on Instagram, I do a 6 carousel post. And it's like the initial image is, here are the top 4 takeaways for this episode of Podcasting Business School. The next 4 slides are the 4 takeaways. And then the last one's the call to action. So the chances that if you just put one post up, that's, whatever percentage somebody might see that. But now you've got 6 of those opportunities all at the same time where somebody might see the 3rd image or the 4th image and they go, oh, I got to go back and see all the images and see the full little story. So it gets in front of more people. So I'm going, that's my introductory. That's my shot across the bow, new content, carousel post. Then Tuesday evening, I'm going live, Instagram live, where I like to tie in a little micro segment of the content and then start taking questions live from my audience. And now on Instagram Live, you can pull up to 3 people on the screen with you live at the same time. And the cool thing about that is that the push notifications happen for everybody involved. So if Matt and Joe and myself and John Lee Dumas are all on there at the same time, it looks like each one of us is individually going live with the push notification. So all of our audiences are all being notified. So that's beautiful. So I love to have 3 or 4 people up there, myself included, and it's a lot of algorithm happening, and I'm able to tie it into the episode that just went live. Then Wednesday morning, we pop on our first highlight video. I love a 60-second or less highlight video because that works for Instagram stories, Instagram reels, Facebook stories, Facebook reels, LinkedIn, TikTok, the whole thing. It goes everywhere, and video content does well. So I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but I have a strategy. Certain days, certain types of content. Just a simple goal that I put out there for people I'm consulting or coaching with. Within 72 hours of your episode release, I want 6 pieces of content going out within 72 hours. So it could be release day, AM, PM, next day, AM, PM, 2 days out, AM, PM. All of it drives towards the episode. Now, it doesn't have to be all Instagram based. It could be, a clubhouse room where you're inviting your latest guest on, and you always do your room on Wednesday nights or whatever. And you have the latest guest come on, and you have that reason to refer back to the episode. Now in Clubhouse, you've got the link at the top of the room where you can drop the link to the episode right there. It's very easy to subscribe and listen to that episode. So for me, the podcast is the tip of the spear. And that's where I want people. I want to be that voice in their earbuds, teaching them everything that I know and bringing interesting people in to teach what they know. So I'm always like a Clubhouse, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. What kind of content can we serve up as an appetizer that drives them and gives them a reason like, I got to go check out this full episode. It's a no-brainer. So that's really the first thing, download growth wise, is set up a marketing game plan of what you're doing on social media, understanding where you're making the most impact. Like for me, my 2 focus areas are Instagram and Clubhouse, and that's going to be different for everybody. So don't get hung up on that, but just do that analysis to figure out where your time is best spent, and then spend time there interacting with people. So that's kind of the initial gateway that people need to pass through, is just getting organized. And that's something that I like to help people do.
Yeah. So it sounds like, have a game plan for everything, not only just your show as a whole, what the release schedule looks like, be in the minds of your listener on a repetitive basis, and have them actually kind of schedule you into their lives. And then have a plan for marketing for each episode. He said about 72 hours. So have a game plan to get that in front of the right people. And I love how you're leveraging the algorithm too. Like on Instagram, I know the carousels, pretty sure they get a lot more attention because you're keeping people on platform longer, scrolling through. I know a lot of people say they save those things to check them out later. It's like, what? No one's doing that with a quote card. Like the basics of, like that's a basic thing that you see a lot of podcasters do. Have you seen guests on your podcast share content a lot further because you're doing this kind of thing?
Yes, but here's the real, this solves another problem when you look at Instagram Lives and Clubhouse, because what you just mentioned, the algorithm, those 2 platforms, the algorithm does some sharing for us, and it doesn't seem like to your guests. So if Matt and Joe come on my show, they invest their time there. Like they're busy guys. We all know this. They're fancy and famous. I mean, they're rolling up in their Lambos.
So fancy.
Of course.
So
you know us well.
I mean, I know them well. So the thought of the big issue in podcasting is like, oh, God, they didn't even share it. They didn't share my post, and I created this image of their face, and they didn't share it. But we got to realize
my brand all over it.
Yeah, we got to realize it's not their brand, and a lot of people really guard that, as they should. So we got to think, what makes the shareability a little bit easier? How about it makes it seem like it's not like a trick, but when you go, hey, I do a follow-up Instagram Live or Clubhouse session with my audience to kind of promote you. And it's a great thing. If you've got a book, if you've got your own show, your own brand, it connects them really easily to you. What they don't realize, it's just a natural algorithm push on Clubhouse. When they start yapping on there, that notification goes out. Matt and Joe are talking. Come and check it out. Instagram, the push notifications go out to everybody that's following you on IG. So to them, it's just a bonus piece of content, them in front of your audience, with the algorithm doing the work of sharing it out. So that's what I'm really trying to steer podcasters towards, because it's great content. It allows your audience to engage with these people, ask direct questions, which is awesome. That levels you up as an expert. You're the connector hub person. It's easy and convenient for the guest. So it's a win for everybody. Instead of like, if you go, well, I've got 1 million followers on Facebook. We could either do an Instagram live or I'll share my picture of my face on Facebook. And 6% of people might look at that. Like, I don't know. I'd much rather do an Instagram live or a Clubhouse conversation for 10 to 15 minutes. I did one back in my health podcasting days. I interviewed a couple from the ketogenic diet community. They had like 500,000 Instagram followers. We went live for 10 minutes. I got 300 followers. I was booking coaching clients from that 10-minute session for like 2 years after that. Like they were like, oh, I saw you on the live. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So that is where I would recommend that. And you, like, again, it's convenient, it's easy, it's great content. To me, that's the tip of the spear. Like, is this great content for my ideal listener? Are we serving them? And if we can benefit and the guests can benefit at the same time, it's all good. Let's go for it.
Yeah, and one thing that I think you're brilliant at that really sets you apart is, there's so many podcasts out there that are one to many, right? Or two to many in our case, right? Mm-hmm. You have your podcast hosts and they're just broadcasting their podcast out into the world and people are hearing it, but there's very little coming back from that audience to that presenter, right? And with you're bringing everybody in. Like, it's not the host and the audience. It's like, no, community. We're all in this community. I might be the one on the mic bringing the guests and pulling the knowledge out of the guests, but I'm doing it for you guys, and I'm asking the questions you guys want to know, and I'm asking you what you want to know, right? We're getting in Clubhouse, we're doing these lives, I'm interacting with you guys in real time. You get me. You're not just listening to a podcast that I'm just broadcasting to the world and I'm untouchable. You're getting me as well. You have the same access to me as these guests have to me, and I think that is what sets your community and what you're doing apart so much from everybody else, is that you're not some untouchable on the other end of a mic. You're not you're not the Joe Rogan of the podcasting world where there's gatekeepers around you and nobody can ever get to you. You are just as active with the community as the other community members, and I think that there's some huge valuable lessons in that for anybody starting a podcast. That's what you need to do these days. That's how you get traction with a podcast these days. It's about community. It's not about like, I have a platform and everybody kneel down to me, right? That's not what this is anymore.
Yeah, I'm very touchable. Like,
we also related you to Joe Rogan. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, bald.
Same haircut.
Bald.
Same haircut. You could play him in the biography of his life or the.
I just need to get punched in the nose a few times. Like I need to break my nose a few times. That'd be just like
break
Joe
your nose
Rogan.
a few times,
a little bit more.
Punch yourself in the ears a whole bunch, and then get tattoo sleeves. You're in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly what you said. Yeah, community first though, because there is an issue with. For the longest time with our show, we were not thinking that way. And let's be honest, you're doing it way better than anyone else that we've ever talked to in the podcast space, and by how systematically you're doing these things right after the release of every episode, going live, engaging on multiple platforms, choosing the platforms that are right for you. I think that is actually super smart too, is not trying to spread yourself thin.
Yep.
I know you have that shotgun wall of stuff behind you, Adam, but you're probably not seeing them on visual, but like, don't be a shotgun approach to your marketing, because then no one's going to expect anything from you and you can't even keep up with it.
Well, let me drop like a super stealth tip. This is great for your Hustle and Flowchart audience because I know this will help them. I just taught this at the latest PodFest, but it's exactly what we're talking about, and nobody is doing it in the podcasting space. I am preaching to everybody. I'm like, this is the thing. If you aren't getting any engagement, if your downloads are especially less than 1,000 downloads per episode, if you aren't monetizing, if you aren't building an email list, I have one thing that you can do that will change all of it. I call it building a community to client bridge, and it's through a community engagement lead magnet. So it's everything that you guys, the Flow Bros, were just talking about there. Every other week, I do something called a Pod Pal Zoom party. All right. I invite my listeners to come on and record an episode with me. All right. So I'll have 15 to 25 of my podcast listeners come on. They have to opt into my email list to do this. So that gets them the little super fan label, the tag on my email list. Like, these are people that they want to get off the sidelines and into the game. They're not just about the earbuds anymore. They want to interact. So this creates a list of super fans for your show. And I'm able to, I know a lot of podcasters struggle with making the money. They create this awesome course and they're pushing their course on their show. And I'm like, if you've got a super engaged giant audience, that'll work. If you're just starting out, probably not going to work. So we need more exposure. So I like the idea of sponsoring your show with a community engagement lead magnet, like what I do with Pod Pals, and go, hey, I want to interact with you. I want to initiate this engagement. Every other week I'm doing this thing. Sign up. Here's the link, the price of admission, your email address. Let's go. But then you give them the irresistible reason why to attend. And one thing we know podcasters want, need, and love is getting on other people's podcasts. So when I go, hey, we're not only like, I'm going to jam with you here. I'm going to coach you. I'm going to give you everything I got, all the Q&A you can handle, but I'm going to record this and put it out as an episode of Podcasting Business School. So all the podcasters that are listening in get exposed to you, because we do a special podcaster speed dating segment where they all get to shout out their show, what it's about, who they're looking for as a guest, who they're a great guest for. And people will come on this thing and they'll get booked for 5 shows from the listeners or the people that are there. And they're like, there's all this, like the collabs. I just got a note from 2 ladies that created a business after being connected on Pod Pals, for free. And so that really lubricates the wheels of relationship building and monetization, because now I've taught them, we've created content together. They can show up as often as they want. And, they can get screen time with me. They're seeing benefit from being there. And then, but as they sign up, all I ask them for, name, email address, and then I have what I call the pain point checklist. I go, what are you struggling with as a podcaster right now? And they just check the boxes. And every single thing that I have in that list is something that I can solve as a coach. Content together. The follow-up from that is, hey, I noticed when you signed up, you said you're struggling with downloads. I don't know if you've noticed yet, but I've got this thing called Download Growth Club. I would love for you to come and try it out for 2 weeks for free or whatever. And so it's creating that I'm willing to put myself out there and share my brand. So we can do business together. If not, let's, just be a super fan of the brand, share it out. But it's creating super fans. It's building my email list massively with super fans. These are my most downloaded episodes because these people represent my ideal listeners and they're asking the questions that my ideal listeners have. So they are representative of the ideal people I want in their earbuds every single week. So it's worked extremely well. It is simple. If you suck at funnel building, like Matt and Joe are experts at funnel building. If funnels just like get your eyes crossed and you just like, you can't figure it out, this is a relationship building funnel. All right. And this will work if you do coaching, consulting, if you have things to sell that you can add value from a monetization standpoint on the back end. Take a couple extra steps like this to build that relationship, to build the know, like, and trust, to build your expert positioning. It really works. It's worked for me. It's what allowed me to go full time.
That's amazing. So speaking on the monetization front, is that your core monetization, or do you have other ways you're monetizing the podcast as well? Do you have sponsorships, affiliate marketing? Like what other ways are you monetizing, or is what you just explained the kind of core thing?
This is the core thing, but like obviously coaching, memberships, courses, all the things. With my health show, we do some sponsors there with the health show because that's super easy because, supplement brands and I get a lot of weird stuff with the health show.
Sure.
Like there's this thing called the Gains Wave, which is a male enhancement product. And it looks like a penis rocket ship is what it looks like.
We've all seen a lot of those. Yeah.
And they send you those in the mail, I'm sure, too, right?
This is giant silver thing. But whenever I do ads on that show, I always ask for full comedic license. I'm like, I can't, like this big rocket ship looking thing. I'm like, I can't not have fun with this on some Instagram reels.
Totally.
So my diary, I'm like, dear diary. And then I had it and I was mixed. That's gone pretty well. Like doing weird, funny ads and ad reads to get, when it comes to podcasting and ads, that's usually what people skip over. So if we can reverse engineer this and go, what would make them never want to skip the ad? If it's funny, if we're making fun of the brand, if I'm making fun of my co-host, if I'm doing something weird, if I make my guests uncomfortable somehow by reading something a little, risque, people tune into those ads all the time. Like I talked about this supplement that made my bowel movements green, and they didn't remember what the name of the company, but I got dozens of DMs on Instagram going, yo, what was that thing to make your poop green? I think I need that because it sounded like it had some benefits.
I don't like the color of my current poop.
Yeah.
Need some fixing.
I said, I looked down there, it looked like a Christmas tree. And they're like, that thing, that's the thing that I need. So little things like that have helped with the ad game. But you guys know as well as me, like it's nice having kind of a portfolio of offerings that you can make money just in case something shifts, something changes, something goes away. We don't want that to be the only thing. So I've got a nice little selection of ways that I can monetize.
That's smart, man. I mean, especially on the channels like on Instagram, Clubhouse. I mean, that's more appealing to a sponsor, a brand that you can do like a partnership with. That's what Matt and I have been thinking a lot more of, is not just sponsors, but more of a partnership. Like, how can you go a little deeper with them and demand more money because they're getting a lot more engagement, ideally, on things like these freaking ads that you're doing on Reels or maybe a carousel or something like that. Because I see what you're putting out there. I'm like, it gets attention. Like, I think I showed my wife the other night, the one you were dancing around on Instagram. I was like, look at this guy. This is who we're partnering with right now.
With the disco suit. Exactly.
Don't look at his butt too much. Come on.
Fun fact. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, shout out Podcasting Business School, shameless plug. You will see this blue disco suit. And I'm 6'4", 250. I bought this thing off the rack and it fit me.
Damn.
I had to shoehorn my buns in there a little bit, but like I can't bend my knees and squat a whole lot. But I can dance in that thing. But I wear that as often as possible in my Instagram reels because people are like, the disco suit. And it came with this silk dragon shirt. It's got dragons all over it. And it's got like the big collar,
Heck yeah.
Off the rack. Zero alterations. I'm like, I bought it for like $30. This is for me.
No, I actually was thinking about the suit. I'm like, I don't know where that came from, but he's working it, man. He's working it.
Vintage Warehouse, Bloomington, Indiana. Shout out.
Gotta go out there. Well, man, I mean, I just love the creativeness you bring into this, but also the systemizing and the community element, which is huge. That's what Matt and I have been really focused on lately. And I know, like, we've alluded to it earlier, but with PodHacker, we've been putting that out there for a long time. Our community essentially pried that out of us because we were not willing at first to create a whole course on this stuff. We're like, that's the last thing we want to do. But then we put it out there and we're like, wow, this is really helping a lot of people. Got a lot of attention, still does all the time. And then you showed up. You're like, yo, I can even make it better and bring your secret sauce to this whole mix here.
I like how you worded that. Like, we were doing this really good thing and then you showed up.
Yeah, and then you showed up. Like, that's better. No. We've known Adam for a couple of years or so. We've been hanging around the PodFest community. Shout out to Chris and the crew there.
Yeah.
But it was a no-brainer when we started chatting. We're like, and it's all this stuff here. We're like, yeah, that's stuff we're not even thinking about. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe we transition into
let's talk about this. Here. We feel like we've created the podcasting dream team. Like, there's other podcasting courses out there. You could forget about them. They don't exist anymore. This is it. This is what we've got. Yeah. Right? We've got PodHacker and we've got Download Growth Club. We got married. We made a baby. Woo! And this is what we're doing together. PodHacker plus Download Growth Club. If you own PodHacker quite a bit, a lot of people are already familiar with it. There's I guarantee a quite heavy percentage of people who listen to the show who are currently members of PodHacker. So
you're welcome.
From your perspective, let's talk to the existing PodHacker customers as well as the people that have been kind of on the fence about grabbing PodHacker. What is Download Growth Club adding into the mix?
So Download Growth Club is something I've been doing for a couple of years now that is ultra focused on the podcaster that's doing less than 1,000 downloads per episode. So that's 80% of podcasters. And that's shocking news to a lot of people as they hear the Joe Rogan numbers and all the John Lee Dumas, like millions of downloads. And they just because that's their favorite show, they assume that there's a lot more like that. And that's the less than 1%. So if you do 1,000 downloads per episode, you're in the top 20% of every podcast that exists. So that's the goal because it's achievable. 1,000 true fans, we can do this. So that's my goal. That's my mission with Download Growth Club. And it is a hybrid course and coaching combination where people come in, they've got a full-blown course, and I break it up into 3 different categories of growth, which we have, you guys know as well as I do. You got to be down with the OPP, other people's podcasts. You know me. So we've got OPP, other people's podcasts. We've got social media, and then we've got paid options, paid advertising. And we dive deep on that. But we do bi-weekly small group coaching. I love to get my hands on people. Like, I can't help it. I can't help it. We were just talking earlier. I'm like the dog when you come home. I'm wagging my tail every single time. Every time when I see people, when I get to dive in and look at and analyze their issues with their show, overcome those hurdles and start to see growth, see that hope ignite again in their eyes. And then I know that if they keep going, their message is continuing to be put out there on a regular basis, more impact. And that's awesome. I love that. So with Download Growth Club, that's what it's all about. Now that we've combined forces, it's like almost 100 videos inside that course beast that I've curated, I've organized, I've put everything in there, and I can't wait to release this into the wild and show our baby to the world. Calling it like a Death Star is cooler, but it really is a baby. But
nobody's gonna get murdered from this.
No.
We're not gonna like murder entire planets.
Yeah,
or anything.
we were talking earlier. We called it like our courses kind of had intercourse. Intercourse happened, and a baby was made. And PodHacker, it's like in a world full of plenty of podcasting memberships, PodHacker, Download Growth Club. This time it's for real. Like that. That's what happened basically.
The movie poster is being made right now, so we'll send those out later.
I imagine a trailer with lots of explosions,
Obviously.
And a few podgasms. I don't know.
podgasms. Yep. Got it.
Lots of gasms happening.
Actually, don't you have to save the podgasms for the actual movie? I don't know if they let you show those on TV.
Yeah, that's true. The money shot.
The podgasm money shot. Where are we going?
All
right.
Anymore. Do we need to cut that part? Nah. We don't edit anything.
We don't.
That's true podcast.
We don't cut anything.
Well, this is the reason. So, almost 100 videos, likely more in the future. But it's not overwhelming. Like you said earlier, we all know that you're organized as hell. But I think there's a whole checklist process that you have. I mean, basically, what Adam's done is kind of reorganize things even more so. I mean, ours was pretty damn organized actually for a course that we put out. We got some good love for the organizational front.
Especially since every course we'd put out before that was very poorly organized.
Not that organized. Sorry. But you hung with us. But luckily, PodHacker, it was on a good foot forward, but now Adam has taken it and really run with it and added all these cool checklists and interactions. I think you have like comment boxes. So there's a lot of one-to-one, one-to-many communication spread throughout this whole thing. Community, right? So we need help from each other and support each other, all tides rise ships. So let's do this. I mean, PodHacker, Download Growth Club. I don't know. Is there like a code name that we can shorten that a little bit?
PodHacker Growth Club.
No, not doing it.
Download Growth Hacker.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's like, I think we have to, isn't it, we're supposed to take like our middle name and the street we grew up on? No, that's like your porn name or something like that. So yeah. Never, that won't work for this.
You know what my name would be? Wait, what was the first criteria?
It's your middle name and the street you grew up on. So I'm Michael Hampshire. That sounds...
Okay, get this. You ready? Mine would be Richard Big Rock. True story. It's Dick Big Rock.
Dick Big Rock.
My middle name's Richard, and I grew up on Big Rock Road.
I can't top that. I can't top it.
So you could just refer to me as Dick Big Rock from here on out.
I say we end it there.
I think we do as well. Yeah, it can't get better than that. So I don't know when this collaboration, this baby with Mr. Big Rock over here, Mr. Big Dick Big Rock. I don't know who you are anymore.
No, it was just the perfect combination of like if you use these two words, it's your porn name, and I'm like, wait a second, mine would legit be Dick Big Rock.
Have you never done that before?
Not with those two.
Love it.
Like blending of words.
It's good times.
So
how are folks going to join?
You missed out like that. If you bust that out in a high school party.
Dude, what's up? Dick Big Rock just showed.
You got to lead with Richard, though. It's a little
Richard
classier.
Big Rock? Okay,
they'll put it together.
Sorry, Richard Big Rock. I'm Richard Big Rock.
All right.
We went off the rails.
I love it.
Let's squeeze back to PodHacker real quick.
Squeeze back, yes.
Yeah, so PodHacker is still available over at podhacker.com. One of the biggest differences now is when you get PodHacker, you also get access to Download Growth Club. So you're getting access to all of that. And I also want to let you know that, yes, there is 100-ish videos in there, and over time there's going to be more, but they are all quick. They're to the point. It's a library, right? You're going to go through the getting started checklist, and then once you finish the checklist, then you're going to sort of pick pick what you need next, right? Do I want to figure out the monetization side next? Do I want to figure out the growth side, the community side? You know, you kind of dig into the library to focus on what you want to do next. So don't think of it as like, oh crap, I got to go through 100 videos or I'm not going to make it. No, you go through the getting started stuff and then you kind of piece from the library what you need to take the next step with the podcast. So I just want to say it's not as overwhelming as it sounds.
True.
It is a amazing library of content that's going to show you how to build a podcast, how to grow a community, how to grow a podcast, how to monetize the podcast, and literally everything in between. So PodHacker.com, it's exciting stuff.
It is.
The freaking dream team had intercourse and made a Death Star. Something like that.
End podcast. Boom.
That's a great podcast episode title.
Yeah. Intercourse with the Death Star? No.
Podcast Death Star
Podcast Death Star.
has been born.
Featuring Richard Big Rock and
Just Richard Big Rock.
What street did you grow up on?
Barcelona, but my middle name's not as cool. It's Ammon.
Ammon, Barcelona.
Like, that's not... Come on. It's the middle name.
It just sounds like
It's
you're Spanish or something.
Exactly. So it could be like, ooh, this exotic man from Spain. All right. So we're making it happen. So you'll see us in there hanging out in pod. And I'd be remiss to say the bi-weekly calls with Adam. I mean, those things are money. So like, that's the thing that I feel like that's the glue that holds all this content, all the checklists, all the templates and agreements, all the stuff that we're giving is that you actually get this one-to-one, one-to-many interaction every other week. So definitely, this thing is growing, and who knows, it's probably going to keep growing into some cool stuff. But go check it out. Hustle Flowchart.
PodHacker.com.
PodHacker.com. All right.
Yeah, and anybody wants to go check out Adam, where's the best place to go? Do you want them to go to your Instagram? Do you want to go to, where's the best place if they want to just dig in on everything Adam Schaeuble?
Yeah, I would love for them to come and hang out on Instagram. Instagram is my jam. Podcasting Business School. Come and say hello and enjoy the dancing leisure suit video. Sometimes I wear like a Run DMC. I got this plush white Run DMC outfit with the matching white shoes and the red Kangol. That happens sometimes.
You have the Adidas shell tops?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta see this. I gotta creep on you more on IG, man.
Nice. Nice.
I appreciate you, my man. It's gonna be fun. Go check out podhacker.com and you'll see a little bit more there. But Adam, appreciate your time, brother.
Flow Bros, appreciate you.
Thanks so much for tuning into that episode. I hope you dug it. I know Joe and I dug it. I actually kicked Joe out of the room. He's not here right now because I wanted to tell you about a tool that I really, really dig. We use it in our business. We recommend it all the time. It's called Easy Webinar, and it's a tool that lets you do live webinars, automated webinars, hybrid webinars, and, pretty much any other kind of webinar if there are other kinds of webinars. But anyway, this tool is kind of like your all-in-one, do-it-all tool for anything webinar related. It's Easy Webinar. It's put out by a dude named Casey Zeman. He's been on the podcast. If you haven't listened to that episode, it's a killer episode. He's a really smart dude, but his software is amazing. It does everything. It's, the title tells you exactly what it does. It's an easy webinar platform. And we use this in our business to run automated webinars all the time. We don't do a lot of live webinars these days. We like to do the kind of automated webinars where somebody can register and then they can either watch it like 15 minutes later or they can watch it the next day, but it's just kind of always running. And it's a system that helps us make autopilot sales off of our webinars. Super cool tool. If you haven't tried it yet, it's an amazing tool. And Casey is actually hooking you up. He said for listeners of Hustle and Flowchart, I can't believe he's doing this, but he said for listeners of the Hustle and Flowchart podcast, he's giving 25% off of the membership to use Easy Webinar. It's already super, super inexpensive for what it does and all the cool features it has, but he's hooking you up with 25% off because you're a listener of Hustle and Flowchart. Go to easywebinar.com/hustle. That's where you can get that 25% off discount. That's easywebinar.com/hustle. It's a awesome tool. You're going to dig it. So just go grab it. Check it out. easywebinar.com/hustle. See ya. No, not see ya. You'll hear me in the next show. I don't know how to close these things. Go get Easy Webinar. Talk to you later.